Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Renewed concerns about online learning as new academic year begins. Just how satisfied are teachers? JTA calls for survey to be done. And later in sports, Reggae boys suffer another defeat in World Cup qualifiers. I'm Giovanni Dennis and here are the details. With classes officially resuming for the new academic year, renewed concerns among teachers about the challenges of online learning. Some say they are finding it hard to adjust to online teaching platforms. As Shamala Pullen reports, President of the Jamaica Association of Principals of Secondary Schools, Linvern Wright, wants more support for teachers.
It's been over a year since schools have moved to online classes due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But even so, as the 2021-2022 academic year begins today, teachers are still having challenges navigating this platform. Linvern Wright is the president of the Jamaica Association of Principals of Secondary Schools. Mr. Wright says school administrators need to ensure continuous training support is given to teachers to deliver lessons online.
The fact is that if you have teachers in training for over how many years and it wasn't for online learning, so they might have been trained in technology integration, but that's different from online teaching. Because what online teaching really needs is pedagogy for teaching online. How do you contact kids who are not there? What do you use instead of eye contact? What do you use instead of, the look? Those are things that we have to give teachers the tools to deal with. Many schools are doing it. I'm not sure how uniform that is. And the other thing is that the training is something that maybe has to be ongoing. But, sometimes you're struggling with just the communication, so that you might have 5 students in a class out of 40, and you're not sure that you're not effective because you never had 75% of students on because of internet challenges.
Mr. Wright says this is critical because it is still uncertain when physical classes will resume. Meanwhile, Mr. Wright is appealing to teachers to contact students as soon as they are missing from online classes. He says this will ensure they are not left behind.
Our real issue is access, data, and available online data for students. The fact is that if you don't get them, no matter how effective you are, you won't reach them. So that's the first. We just want to reach the kids. What I think schools have to do and teachers have to try to do is that we have to just try our best to ensure that we're communicating. So if it is that a student doesn't come, we try our best to get to them. The fact, though, is that there are many of them who you try to get to them, you get them, they come on today, tomorrow they're off again. Because the fact, too, is that even if they get on with some data, there's a challenge to sustain that for learning over time.
Shamala Pullen, TVJ News.
In the meantime, calls for studies to be done to assess just how satisfied teachers have been in the past year. That issue was raised by President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Winston Smith. O'Shane Masters has that report.
Have teachers been satisfied with the education sector over the past year? That's a question that needs to be answered, according to Jamaica Teachers Association JTA President Winston Smith. It comes following the closure of schools last year and an increase in online learning. But it has not been without challenges such as a lack of devices and poor or no internet connectivity. It's why he says a survey must be conducted to gauge the level of satisfaction among teachers.
Just like how we do during the political campaigning time, where you commission a survey to find out what is happening and the thinking or the mind of the voters. Do a similar survey among teachers to find out from teachers what are the levels of satisfaction and what are the things that contribute to the satisfaction or dissatisfaction, whichever it turns out to be. And let us now examine the situation.
In the meantime, Mr. Smith is adamant that something must be done quickly about the compensation package for teachers. He says teachers have been giving their all to the education sector since online classes were announced last year. But those efforts, he argues, seem to be in vain.
Our salary claim should have been settled for payment from April. At this point in time, there's no meaningful conversation about the compensation of teachers. But yet we're saying teachers should go out and teach and work. And come on, we all went to university and understand Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And it is time for us to have that conversation, to say the teachers are willing, they're working, they're trying. What about the benefits that are to be passed on, or what are the compensation benefits that teachers should really get?
It's why he says some teachers have been looking towards the United States for employment, as the compensation package is 4 times better than what obtains in Jamaica. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
And you can join us at 7 this evening for Primetime News, where we will have comprehensive coverage of back-to-school issues. To other news now, officials in the tourism sector are confident that more workers will continue taking the COVID-19 vaccine. Dwayne Anderson reports.
Over 2,000 tourism workers were vaccinated at several blitz sites over a 3-day period. The authorities say it is an intensifying of efforts to reach herd immunity.
We are feeling the willingness now of the workers, as has been indicated by the outturns that we have seen in the last 3 days since the program has started.
The results follow the creation of a task force to facilitate the vaccination of tourism workers across Jamaica. As part of the initiative, more blitz sites will be built across popular tourist areas.
So the intention, of course, is to have 7 centers established across Jamaica and an outturn of anywhere from 500 to 600 persons per day per center.
The entire ground floor of the Moon Palace West Wing was open for the blitz exercise recently.
What we have done as a hotel, and we've encouraged those who can pay us in the large hotel to pay the administrative fee, so that the workers, the people on the outside, all the little people, all the big people, you don't have to pay anything. You just show up and get vaccinated.
To date, up to 60% of the staff at Moon Palace have been vaccinated.
And calls for more private companies to be involved in COVID-19 testing. But even as that call is being made, complaints that COVID-19 testing at private facilities can be costly. Codian Barrett reports.
At several private medical facilities across the island, it could cost you about $7,500 for the antigen COVID-19 test. The more reliable PCR test is available for free through the public health system, but could cost over $18,000 at private facilities.
You can't find someone who can do the test for you. You have to pay this absorbent, this high value or high dollar amount to get a test. While if you open it up, the cost would come down because you're increasing competition.
Then there are others who are engaged in the business without being approved. Such an approval comes from the Jamaica National Agency for Accreditation. Director of Health Plus Associates, Dr. Orville Nemhard, says despite being accredited, the results from the facility are declined by the Ministry of Health because it's not on their list of approved facilities for COVID-19 testing.
Yet, the ministry still refuses to accept any results we send into them. They say we're not on their approved list, meaning the Ministry of Health approved list.
Dr. Nemhard added that steps have since been taken to align the company with the standards of the ministry, but the matter is still unresolved.
If we send the patient in with the certificate which shows a positivity, what they do is they tell the patient that they have gotten a result from an unapproved lab, and therefore they can't accept it.
In the meantime, President of the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, Keith Duncan, is now calling for the ministry to include more private practitioners into the testing pool.
This is what we're actually pushing for them to approve more tests that are internationally approved, allow for more importers to be able to import these approved tests or certified tests, and thirdly, allow doctors and healthcare professionals to be able to administer these tests and then to report them into the national numbers.
Both men were guests on the morning agenda on Power 106. Codian Barrett, TVJ.
And it's now time for a break, but please stay with us. We'll have much more when you return. Welcome back. We're continuing the news. COVID-19 has claimed 18 more lives in Jamaica, pushing the death toll to 1,637. The deaths were recorded between September 1 and 4. The corporate area and St. Mary recorded 5 deaths each. 4 deaths were recorded in St. Anne, 2 from Westmoreland, and 1 each from Portland and St. Elizabeth. The country also recorded 643 new cases from 1,500 tests. The total case count is now 71,987. The positivity rate is now 43.7%. 699 people have been admitted with the respiratory virus. 53 are critically ill, while 121 are severely ill. 20,967 active cases of the virus are still on the island. Residents of Port Antonio, Portland are calling for more to be done to reduce congestion in the town. Codian Barrett has the story.
Residents have expressed frustration with the buildup of traffic in the small space, highlighting unruly drivers parking along the already narrow road and large delivery trucks blocking the roads.
If the police be more proactive in the road and direct the traffic and keep the road clear, I think that will help a lot. And then maybe if them can even find a better way of make the traffic flow, like rearrange the traffic for certain days when them know say these days are the days that we have more traffic. You can rearrange the route, so that means you just go one way instead of you go this way and block up the traffic.
On the behalf of all of the supermarket and the store them, if they have a better parking lot where the vehicle can park and they can deliver them goods, then things will run more smoothly, I understand.
And one resident made this suggestion.
If people don't know where to park, them are going to park in the road. So if we invest in a parking space where people can park in the town and not block up the road, I think that will help a lot. Like that space that overcross from the police station, the big and the empty, and it are used. You see, if somebody could acquire that space, buy it or something, and make a big parking like this, where people can, we have different levels of floor parking, that would be a plus.
CEO of the Portland Municipal Corporation, Jennifer Brown Cunningham, says vending is also another factor causing congestion, with some vendors refusing to use the market. That, she says, makes it difficult for the municipal police to manage the space. However, in response to the congestion caused by the delivery trucks, she says due to the design of the buildings and the narrow road, the municipality saw the need to make arrangements for a time schedule for delivery trucks to make drop-offs. However, some businesses have not been cooperating.
It's not as if you can make arrangements now for the deliveries to be happen to the rear of the building, because that was not taken in consideration when those buildings were built many years ago. So town planning and all of that has now come within a space where the streets are so narrow that, you know, other arrangements have to be made in terms of, and so that's why there's a recognition that these are the certain hours that the deliveries are supposed to be done.
In the meantime, in a bid to reduce the congestion, a new transportation center is slated for the parish.
Once we move the taxis and the buses to the Boundbrook property, the area on Foreshore Road that we would normally use as the transportation center will become available for parking within the township.
Mrs. Brown Cunningham says it is a long-term plan which is expected to get started within the next 18 months. Codian Barrett, TVJ News.
A family is seeking the assistance of the public to locate 54-year-old Andrew Richards, who went missing on Saturday. It's understood that the man is mentally ill and was last seen at the Kingston Public Hospital, KPH, where he was taken for treatment. He was last seen in a black jacket over a white V-neck t-shirt, navy blue shorts, black sneakers and a blue hat. He's approximately 6 feet 2 inches tall. If anyone has seen or knows his whereabouts, they are being asked to contact the Admiral Town Police Station at 876-922-5362 or 429-8075 or 396-7837. And it's now time for the Business Minute. Here's Codian Barrett.
In the world of business, after a 17-month pause, the Oasis of the Seas is back in cruise service for Royal Caribbean International. It sailed on its first post-pandemic commercial cruise yesterday, launching service from Bayonne in the New York region. through the end of October. Oasis will make weekly visits to Nassau, Port Canaveral, and Perfect Day at Coco Cay, Royal Caribbean's private island in the Bahamas. The Oasis of the Seas, which is one of the world's largest cruise ships, has capacity for more than 5,400 guests. Executive Chairman of Delta Capital Partners and Group CEO of Stocks and Securities Limited, Zachary H. Harding, has been accepted into the Forbes Business Council. The council is the foremost growth and networking organization for successful business owners and leaders worldwide. Mr. Harding was vetted and selected by a review committee based on the depth and diversity of his experience and leadership capabilities. As an accepted member of the council, Zachary has access to a variety of exclusive opportunities designed to help him build global professional influence.
And it's now time for the top regional and international stories. Here's O'Shane Masters.
In news from the region, the Guyana government has made changes to its COVID-19 guidelines to say any person who wishes to enter a public building shall be vaccinated. It further explained that in the absence of being vaccinated against COVID-19, a person would have to make an appointment to visit that public building and present a negative PCR COVID-19 test result to gain access. Based on the regulations covering both public and private buildings, it would cover the markets and supermarkets, stores, private hospitals, and all private businesses and institutions, including places of worship that the public would have access to. Grenada's Deputy Commissioner of Police, Michael Francois, says the Royal Grenada Police Force has called on officers who are currently on annual leave to report for duty at their respective duty stations. It comes as 82 positive cases of the virus have been identified in the police force. Further overseas, Israel's daily COVID-19 cases fell over the weekend as Jewish New Year celebrations began today. The country recorded 4,900 new infections on Saturday, the lowest number since August 14th. The country became one of the first to offer a vaccine booster and now is talking about giving a fourth vaccine shot. And a manhunt is underway in Israel after 6 Palestinian prisoners escaped through a tunnel. One of the men is a commander in the militant wing of Fatah, while the other 5 are reported to be members of a militant group, Islamic Jihad. Israeli media are reporting the group used a tunnel to escape from a Gilboa prison between Israel and the West Bank. And that's it for the top regional and international stories. I'm O'Shane Masters.
And we now head to a quick break. When we come back, Simon Preston will have your midday sports report.
Welcome back. It's now time for Midday Sports. I'm Simon Preston. Head coach of the Reggae Boys, Theodore Tappa Whitmore, described Jamaica's 3-0 defeat to Panama in the CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers at the National Stadium on Sunday as embarrassing. This was Jamaica's heaviest ever home defeat in World Cup qualifying. Whitmore says the Panamanians were given too much time and space on the ball to work with.
No, we didn't close down, especially in the central midfield. We didn't close down the Panamanian. We allowed them room to play. We allowed them space to play. In the session yesterday, we planned to press the Panamanian team, but I think this afternoon we shun our responsibility. Especially the first half, I think it was embarrassing to say the least. I think the commitment and the desire, we didn't get that today. The second half was a bit more encouraging, but after conceded 2 goals, it was a uphill task.
The Reggae Boys will next be in action against Costa Rica in San Jose on Wednesday. Meanwhile, Mexico recorded back-to-back victories in World Cup qualifying after clipping Costa Rica 1-0. Oberlin Pineda scored the all-important goal in the 45th minute. Over in Nashville, Canada held the United States to a 1-1 draw. Brendan Aronson opened the scoring for the Americans in the 55th minute before Kyle Lauren equalized 7 minutes later. El Salvador battled to a 0-0 draw with Honduras in San Salvador. On Wednesday, Canada will host El Salvador, Panama battles Mexico, while the United States travels to face Honduras. And finally, this afternoon, the West Indies under-19 team suffered their second straight defeat on their tour of England after going down by 1 wicket in Beckenham today. Batting first of the Caribbean side were bowled out for 180 inside 40 overs. Grenadian batsman Teddy Bishop top scored with an unbeaten 97. He also received support from Anderson Amurdon with 27. Barbadian-born English youth player Jacob Bethel and Tom Prest took 3 wickets each for the home side. In reply, England's under-19 team got to their target with 12 overs to spare, thanks to James Rue, who top scored with 63. Isaiah Thorne took 3 for 54 for the Caribbean side. Both teams will meet again on Wednesday at the same venue. And that is it for your Midday Sports Report. I'm Simon Preston. Giovanni, it is over to you.
Thank you so much, Simon. And that's it for the Midday News. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, the sports and the production teams, have a good afternoon.